And now, please stand, keeping the aisles clear, and welcome the School of Medicine's graduating class of 2017.
Honored Speaker Dr. Wortman, President Tripathi, Dean Kane, and distinguished guests, the candidates for degrees are now assembled. Therefore, I officially declare that the 171st Annual Commencement of the Jacobs School of Medicine and Biomedical Science is now opened.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. Please continue to stand, and we will begin with our national anthem. And to lead us in our national anthem, I invite Nicole Dodge, Elizabeth Zoll Welch-Gregory, Crystal Hahn, Jin Kim, and Christopher Wang from the school's Doc Appella Choir to please lead us in our national anthem. And gentlemen, remind each of you to please remove your hat.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed by the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please be seated. On behalf of the school and the university, welcome to the 171st commencement of the Jacobs School of Medicine and Biomedical Sciences. This is a very special day for all of us. Our graduates will soon receive the Doctor of Medicine degree. Parents, spouses, family members, and friends appropriately exude pride and joy for this very, very real accomplishment. To the class of 2017, my heartfelt congratulations. We look forward and expect you to contribute to and have leadership roles in American and international medicine and biomedical research. I wish also to recognize the alumni attending from the class of 1967, celebrating 50 years in medicine, as well as the class of 1992 that this weekend are celebrating 25 years in medicine. I also want to recognize and thank the tireless efforts of our dedicated faculty and staff for preparing this outstanding class for careers in medicine and science. So please join me in welcoming our students, recognizing the two groups that are having milestone alumni reunions, and also a round of applause for our faculty. It's now my pleasure to introduce the president of the University at Buffalo, Dr. Satish Tripathi.
Good afternoon. First, I would like to offer a warm welcome to the parents and family members joining us. As we honor our graduates today, we also honor your support and guidance, which has helped our students reach this great milestone. Most of all, we are here to celebrate you, the Jacob School of Medicine and Biomedical Sciences, class of 2017. Reaching this milestone is a great personal achievement, but your graduation is deeply meaningful in a public sense as well. As UB graduate, what you have learned and discovered here and what you will do with this knowledge has tremendous significance for the communities that you are part of. These communities begin with your own circle of family and friends and extend to your neighborhood, the nation, and the global community. These aren't separate spheres, they are closely connected. You are graduating into a world where the local and the global, the personal and the public increasingly intersect. What happens in the arena of the world affairs affects us on a daily basis. The challenges we face personally and as a society have no borders, from medical and public health threats to economic, educational, and social inequalities to environmental concerns impacting the future of our planet. These problems are multifaceted and complex, spanning the globe and cutting across a wide range of disciplines, fields, institutions, and communities. So now, more than ever, we need ideas, solutions, innovations, and collaborations that transcend borders of all kinds, geographic, cultural, disciplinary, and ideological. We need globally minded citizens who are ready to come together to tackle these challenges. We need thoughtful, knowledgeable leaders who bring both proven experience and an open mind to the forefront. We need pioneering problem solvers who reach beyond the immediate frame of reference to embrace and learn from many different point of views. That's where you come in. Your UB education has prepared you for exactly this kind of engaged global leadership. It has prepared you to engage with and empathize with others, to recognize our shared humanity and common concerns despite cultural and geographic differences. It has emphasized the importance of building bridges across borders in order to solve the challenges that transcend borders. UB, as a large, internationalized university whose members come from all over the world, mirrors the complexity of the world around us through our ideological and cultural diversity. And as a core element of our mission, as a public research university, we are committed to ensuring that our ideas and discoveries make the world around us a better place, from our local neighborhoods to our global community. As citizens, you are perhaps the more powerful embodiment of our university mission. As UB students, you have already begun responding to global challenges, working directly with faculty and scholars who are leading the conversation in and beyond their fields. You have contributed in solutions and discoveries that change how the world approaches threats to public health and access to healthcare. You and your classmates will have a powerful global impact as doctors, clinical researchers, and medical experts. You have already demonstrated that by providing medical aid to Buffalo homeless population, offering primary care services in Haiti, Panama, and beyond, and conducting groundbreaking research. Now, as UB graduates, you are part of a long-standing UB tradition, joining a global network of more than 250,000 alumni in nearly 150 countries around the world, all dedicated to using their UB education to make a difference in the world. The challenges you will be called on to address reflects universal concern facing humanity in every community around the globe. And the communities you are part of here and beyond will surely be richer for your contributions and insight. Class of 2017, we can't wait to see how you will use your UB education to make a difference in the world. Congratulations on your great achievement and all best wishes on the road ahead. From time to time, the University at Buffalo President has honor of presenting the UB President's Medal in recognition of individuals who have expended truly extraordinary effort on behalf of our university and the communities we serve. Created in 1990, this medal is presented in recognition of, in the words of the original medal description, outstanding scholarly and artistic achievement, humanitarian acts, contributions of time and treasure, exemplary leadership, or any other major contribution to the development of the University at Buffalo and the quality of life in the UB community. It is my honor to have the opportunity to recognize one such individual today. Would Margarita Dubokovic please join me at the podium? As a SUNY Distinguished Professor in the Department of Pharmacology and Toxicology in the Jacobs School of Medicine and Biomedical Sciences, Dr. Dubokovic has had a broad and profound impact in her field of study, as well as her academic community at the University at Buffalo as a scholar, teacher, mentor, and administrator. The world's foremost authority on the brain hormone melatonin and the regulation of melatonin receptors, Professor Dubokovic has significantly broadened the scientific understanding of melatonin's impact on circadian rhythms, sleep disorders, and depression. It truly embodies the excellence of our faculty and the university. As the inaugural Senior Associate Dean for Diversity and Inclusion in the Jacobs School, Professor Dubokovic has also worked tirelessly at UB to build educational opportunities for talented, underrepresented minority students and junior faculty to pursue their careers and become leaders in the fields of medicine and biomedical sciences through her leadership and work with programs such as iSeed and CLIMB. The owner or co-owner of 3 patents resulting from her research and author of more than 175 articles, reviews, and chapters, Professor Dubokovic has received continuous funding since 1982 and has received numerous national and international honors for her seminal research and professional service. Our university and our broader communities have been profoundly enriched by her contributions as an innovator, pioneering researcher, and educator. It is with great pride and pleasure that I present the UB President's Medal to Dr. Margarita Dubokovic. Congratulations.
Thank you, President Tripathi, for the warm introduction. It is a distinct honor receiving the UB President Medal, I would like to thank President Tripathi and the university leadership, in particularly Provost Zukowski and Vice President for Health Science and Dean of the Jacobs School of Medicine, Dr. Michael Kane, for their support, encouragement, and confidence on our efforts aimed to enhance inclusive excellence at the University at Buffalo. I am truly delighted to accept this award, which embodies the commitment, hard work, and leadership of my team members who have contributed to building diverse and inclusive communities of students, fellows, and faculty engaged in research training and professional development needed for career success. I am grateful to all students, fellows, faculty, and even parents that have entrusted their sons or daughters to our programs for supporting our journey embracing inclusive excellence. My vision for success and excellence includes multiple people, multiple ideas, and perspectives as those encountered in culturally diverse communities. This vision was realized when I joined the University at Buffalo and we established the Caline program at UB and the University-wide Institute for Strategic Enhancement of Educational Diversity, ICED, that catalyzed the building of culturally and intellectually diverse and academically inclusive communities of graduate students, fellows, and faculty, with a focus on excellence in education, engagement in research and mentoring, and enhancement of professional development. During this process, we began to bridge and integrate pockets of success across campus, bringing diversity to the core of our institutional mission and making the University at Buffalo the engine to drive a strong, diverse, and cultural competent workforce. I have many people to thank in this journey. However, I would like especially to thank Dr. Raj Rajanarayan, Ms. Liz Marshall, and Dr. Luis Colon, who joined me in my journey on inclusive excellence at the very beginning, providing the leadership, commitment, and vision that continue to synergize all our initiatives, which are now well integrated in our diverse communities. I would like to take a moment to thank my husband, Randy Hudson, and our son, Matt Hudson, for their unconditional love and support, understanding, and even forgiveness at times when working long hours, fulfilling my passion, made me late for dinner. I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate all graduating medical students soon to start their own successful journeys as medical doctors here in Buffalo and across the country. As you move on, be attentive for opportunities to join teams and communities embracing excellence and facilitating cultural competence in biomedical science and healthcare. Congratulations to all the students and their families, and thank you again for the honor of receiving the UB President's Medal. Thank you.
Congratulations, Margarita. It's now my distinct pleasure to introduce our honored speaker this afternoon, Dr. Stephen Wortman. In July 2005, Dr. Wortman became the third president of the Association of Academic Health Centers, a nonprofit association based in Washington, D.C., that seeks to advance health and well-being through the vigorous leadership and multifaceted institutions that educate the next generation of health professionals, conduct cutting-edge biomedical and clinical research, and other comprehensive patient care from the basic to the most advanced clinical levels. Prior to assuming this position, Steve was Executive Vice President for Academic and Health Affairs and Dean of the School of Medicine at the University of Texas Health Science Center in San Antonio. Dr. Wortman's career in academic medicine also includes chairing a Department of Medicine at 2 institutions and being the founder director of a division of general internal medicine. Dr. Wortman, an internist and sociologist, is board certified in internal medicine, and he is a master of the American College of Physicians. He received his AB from Cornell University and his MD and PhD degrees from Johns Hopkins University. He was a Robert Wood Johnson Clinical Scholar at Johns Hopkins and a Henry Luce Scholar in Indonesia. He is currently recognized internationally for his work in the organization and management of academic health centers, where he has taken the lead on critical issues such as the need for alignment among an institutional's clinical research and education programs. In 2008, he founded the AAHC International, a global organization dedicated to improving health and well-being worldwide. In 2012, he edited Confluence of Policy and Leadership in Academic Health Science Centers, published by Radcliffe Press, that for the first time provided a comprehensive overview of the academic health center enterprise. He authored in 2014 a new guide, Searching for Leadership, Best Practices for Academic Institutions, that describes characteristics of successful leaders and a detailed analysis of the process to select them. In 2015, Elsevier published The Transformation of Academic Health Science Centers, the definitive work on the future of these vital institutions, which he edited. He founded in 2016 the AAHC Thought Leadership Institute to provide in-depth views and analyses of issues transforming 21st century medicine. He also initiated that year the Aligned Institutional Mission Program that provides a platform for academic health centers to capture the synergy resulting from the optimal alignment of their education, research, and clinical programs. He has received numerous awards and honorary degrees, including the 2015 Johns Hopkins School of Medicine's Distinguished Medical Alumnus Award. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Stephen Wortman.
I can't believe that's me you're talking about. Thank you very much, Dean Kane, President Tripathi, distinguished guests and platform parties, family members and friends, and of course, the class of 2017. It is a great honor for me to come before you today on the occasion of this distinguished institution's 171st commencement. That's impressive. I have many thoughts in meeting some of the graduates earlier today and in looking out on them now. You are a diverse and very highly accomplished group. You have worked very hard to be where you are today. You've had, I'm sure, over the course of the last few years, your usual ups and downs, but that's normal. But today is the day for you to enjoy the glow of real accomplishment. But there are others who also deserve our thanks today. The school's leaders, teachers, and staff, and let's not forget those who have supported you all along the way. Families, spouses, partners, and friends. Let's give them a round of applause. My talk today is tempered by the realization that beginning immediately after I finish and lasting a lifetime, no one will remember who the commencement speaker was. I accept that, but I aspire to leave a message with you that I hope will stay with you throughout your career. And that message is the importance of suffering with the patient. Hold that thought. I'll be getting back to it. I'd also like to offer you some relief with the assurance that I will follow the 3 B's of commencement speaking, as told to me by my late friend and university president, Andrew Sorensen. Be to the point, be brief, and be seated. Arguably, medical science and healthcare are undergoing the fastest changes in their entire history. Let's take a moment to look backward and forward. When I was still in the early phases of my career over 35 years ago, there was, to my knowledge, no such thing as an internet or personal computers or cell phones. When I graduated from medical school roughly 1,000 years ago, patient care was so different in so many respects from what it is today. For example, I remember admitting patients to the hospital whose blood pressures or blood sugars were just a tiny little bit out of whack, or patients who needed quite routine GI studies. Can you imagine admitting those patients today? Our hospitals have become fast-paced, rapid turnover ICUs. But it never really occurred to me during that time how different medicine might be over the course of my career. I didn't look very far ahead. I'm not sure why I didn't think about it, but it was probably because I really had no idea about what was coming down the pike. But today, I believe we have a clearer vision of what to expect in the not-too-distant future, and that the changes that are taking place are fundamentally reshaping medicine and science. Add to this the fact that the tech gurus tell us that the changes to come will be exponential in scope, such that the next 30 years will witness faster and even more dramatic changes than the past 30. Let's see, let's do some math. 33 years from today will be the year 2050. Most of you will still be practicing your profession then. What in the world would it be like for you at that point in time? And is it even possible to speculate? A recent book that I read provided an interesting perspective on the changes we are experiencing. The authors commented that we are undergoing a profound shift in our society, a shift from a print-based industrial society to a technology-based internet society. And the major driver of these changes is something that's known as the technological convergence, also known as the Fourth Industrial Revolution. This refers to the integration of a whole range of technologies, such as big data, artificial intelligence, robotics, sensors, crowdsourcing, synthetic biology, nanotechnology, and the list goes on and on and on, all located in something called dense dynamic data clouds. Sounds very science fiction, but it's happening. And one way to look at this evolution is that a new ecology of healthcare is creating a number of very fundamental transitions. Here are some of them. A transition from traditional healthcare to more self-care, going online for advice and moving beyond diagnosis to actual self-management. A transition from visit care to virtual care. For example, I'm told that Kaiser Permanente in Northern California reports that 40% of all physician encounters are virtual and growing. A transition from in-person care in hospitals and offices to a much wider range of settings, retail clinics and hospital at-home models, just to name a few. And finally, a transition stimulated by the growing field of precision medicine, in which medical care is designed to optimize therapeutic benefit for individuals or select groups of patients using tools such as genetic and molecular profiling. And this particular transition speaks to a highly individualized form of healthcare that will increasingly rely on interdependent teams of health professionals using large data sets and sophisticated computer algorithms. Now, while these transitions open up important new avenues to create what is in effect a real-time learning healthcare system, they are also leading to deep changes in the role and scope of the health professions. Something that will bring me back to the theme I mentioned earlier of suffering with the patient. Now, of course, there are many, many other forces that will impact healthcare, such as the marketplace and politics. But don't you think it's a good idea if I don't touch on that today? I don't want to make any definitive predictions on those points. But these somewhat predictable transitions I've described do have important implications for what you will be doing as health professionals. Each day that passes, healthcare providers, in some sense, become less the exclusive bearers of medical and scientific knowledge, something that for millennia has been the strength and basis of trust of our profession. So how does this change the role of the caregiver when the patient knows nearly as much on a specific topic, and some of my clinical friends say sometimes they even know more? It seems to me that a new paradigm for healthcare is being created, something that would amaze and certainly disorient the historical greats, from Hippocrates to Osler. And this new paradigm requires physicians to become experts at both some new and some old skills. Let's begin with the newer skills. First, developing a sophisticated mathematical or statistical appreciation of the meaning of probabilities, because these probabilities are going to be generated by these computers who have access to all this information and will come out with some recommendations, all in the form of probabilities. An 82% chance of this, a 21% chance of that. As one author described this, the new tools for tailoring treatment will demand a greater tolerance for uncertainty and a greater facility for calculating and interpreting probabilities than we have been used to as physicians and patients. Second, new skill, learning how to best work with machines. As pointed out by a futurist, machines and systems will work alongside tomorrow's health professionals as partners. Human professionals would have to come to terms with the need on occasion to defer to superior capabilities of machines when indicated. Third, becoming competent in the management and oversight of delegated responsibilities within newly designed multi-professional healthcare teams as patient care becomes more complex and specialized. And some of these team members, we haven't even figured out who they are yet. And fourth, skill in adapting clinical practice to some new payment and performance systems, which will likely include proactively promoting population health in addition to treating individual patients. Now, you might wonder at this point if you are all prepared for these new developments. But I want to assure you of something. Yes, you will be prepared because of your already demonstrated abilities in self-learning and technological adoption. You are ready for this, you are primed for this, and you are eager for this. So do not lose sight of this very important statement. You, the class of 2017, have the privilege of practicing in what I would call the most exciting time in the history of medicine. Let me repeat that. The most exciting time in the history of medicine. Science will further unlock the mysteries of biology with new insights into disease and aging. Highly effective and individualized therapies on an unprecedented scale will become available, with the result of enhancing health and well-being. And I believe that solutions will be found solving the invidious and insidious problem of health disparities, perhaps on a global scale using new technologies. But you will recall that I earlier mentioned there are some old skills that are going to become increasingly important. What are some of these older skills? It's very common at white coat ceremonies and graduations to talk about health professionals' duties to their patients. We recite the Hippocratic Oath and affirm that we will do our best to provide our patients with honest and appropriate care, and above all, do no harm. But there are other duties and skills we must consider. First is the realization that patients are your most important teachers. Beyond the medical literature, grand rounds, artificial intelligence, or the growing world of virtual knowledge, patients are your most important teachers. And because of this, never forget that every single working day, you owe each and every patient your gratitude and respect. The second realization brings me to the comment I made at the beginning of this address, the importance of suffering with the patient. This was the famous mythologist Joseph Campbell's definition of compassion in medicine. And it is this skill of compassion that may be the most important of all in the coming era of technology-enhanced medicine. A famous computer scientist reflected 40 years ago that there are some things people come to know only as a consequence of having been treated as human beings by other human beings. The late Paul Kalanithi, in his book When Breath Becomes Air, wrote, "The caregiver's duty is not to stave off death or return patients to their old lives, but to take into our arms a patient and family whose lives have disintegrated and work until they can stand back up and face and make sense of their own existence." And the writer Anatole Broyard put it another way. But illness may be eased by the way caregivers respond. In other words, these writers recognize what medicine has known for millennia, the paramount importance of concern for the sufferings and misfortunes of others. This means respecting the right of patients to make choices according to their values and understanding how these values impact care decisions. It means having real and tested abilities to provide the uniquely human services that patients need, to go beyond probabilities to address human complexities. I mentioned earlier that the greats like Hippocrates and Osler would be amazed and disoriented by the changes taking place, but I am sure they would be very comfortable with this part of my talk. Hippocrates is credited with having written, "It is more important to know what sort of person has a disease than to know what sort of disease a person has." And Osler has said, "Medicine is a science of uncertainty and an art of probability." So in conclusion, I implore you as you begin your careers to be guided by the importance of sympathy and concern for the sufferings and misfortunes of others, and to be steered by the principle that your patients are your best teachers. I believe this has and will continue to endure the test of time, even in this new age of technology and artificial intelligence. And I believe this will serve you well, both in your professional and personal life, regardless of the changes coming down the pike. I wish all of you, on the threshold of such a promising future, a world filled by achievement, fulfillment, peace, and above all, compassion. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wortman, very, very much. It's next my pleasure to introduce this year's class speaker. So I would like to ask and introduce him for the last time as Mr. Stephen Marcari to please come to the podium.
Thank you very much. Before I start, I just want to acknowledge my classmates who probably don't recognize me. This is still me. The beard and the magical power it brings are temporarily gone. So I want to start by saying how honored I am to be up here speaking to all of you. Honored and surprised, considering I was recently informed by my doctor that I have what he can only describe as a long-standing undiagnosed Wernicke's aphasia with some mild coprolalia. For those of you in the audience, like my family, who are not medically inclined, all that joke means is that I have a tendency to not make any sense with just a sprinkling of foul language. But it really is surreal to be up here, not only talking at commencement, but to actually reach the culmination of all those hours of frustrated solitude. Hours spent trying to hammer home Dr. Maul's crazed ramblings. Sorry, Dr. Maul. Or Dr. Ettinger's stories on the wondrous molecules of the body. But for how impossibly hard it was for me to imagine this ceremony on day one of medical school, I can say I have equal difficulty trying to picture those PowerPoint slides of old. But there are many well-worn truths to medical school. Dr. Brownie is a steroid hormone biochemist. Dr. Cohan is the result of a government experiment to combine Bill Nye and Mr. Rogers. And I mean that with all due respect. You all have an email right now from Dr. Dannenhofer. And of course, you remember the people more than the PowerPoints. I'll remember the 18-year-old girl who we diagnosed with lupus and was scared that her knee would always hurt, and the father whose family gathered around him to hear if we had discovered whether the CT was really showing a mass or just some atelectatic tissue. I will remember the moment that these people didn't and would never again exist in books for me, that their lives and emotions were all real, and not some script that had been concocted in a CCC exercise, or some piece of information to discover as a means of proving my work ethic and prowess as a student. Life was happening right in front of me, and those people were looking to me to help shepherd them through what was coming. And our Hippocratic Oath, as it will be recited here today, and as it was during the first day of medical school, reminds us to care about them all, to treat all people with respect and empathy. But I believe it is important to remember that we, too, should be included in this oath. All of us here, either personally or secondhand, have been humbled by life's magnitude in just the 4 short years we've been here, both tragic and beautiful. Some of us have had minor medical problems, far outnumbered by our paranoid imagined ones. We've had no shortage of beautiful weddings, and even a few more neurotic future doctors brought into the world. So it comes as a surprise that we as medical students, and now as resident doctors, find it so hard to forgive ourselves for the imperfect and wandering nature of the lives we lead. For all of the planning we do, there really is no way to plan for life. We hear time and time again about the pressure of our training, the demands placed on us, sometimes overly so. And oftentimes, life takes little regard for these demands. We are asked then to find joy in the gaps between our long shifts, when burnout feels most potent, and when we desire to find a quiet place to heal the day's wounds. We look around us at the busy workers, undaunted by their day, and feel as though there is no one out there who must feel the way we feel. And yet, if it is such a common truth, then why do we feel so unique in our struggle? No one here would bother debating that medical school is a challenge. But if it is a challenge, we should allow ourselves to feel challenged and to consider help from others a sign of unity and kinship instead of weakness. And I think we should be reminded of that kinship when we seek out others who need our help. To remember how many of us share in this great privilege, but also sacrifice that is our medical career. In the same way that we relied on one another here at UB, so too must we find strength in each other as we greet our new colleagues and friends. We must take what we have learned here, not from our professors or our clinical faculty, but from this common experience, one in which we shared in each other's delights and sorrows, lent a hand when help was needed, and celebrated the ever-loving pants off of every joyful moment we had. Because that's how we made it this far, by sharing all of this with each other, by taking the happiness and spreading it around, and by lightening the load for others when times were rough. I have no doubt that each of us will find some challenges along our journey wherever it takes us, just as I have no doubt we will rise to meet it with all of the experiences we have had here. So please, take care of one another, because that annoying, overly cautious family med resident could be me somewhere. Just as any of those other frazzled, gruff, or overworked residents could be Joe, or Sam, or Jen, or Suzanne, or Terry, or Deirdre, or any number of us out there. People who you've met, laughed with, worked with, danced with, and maybe even liked a little bit. And they might need you in some small way to help them. So I want you all to take a moment now to think about that time when you felt life bearing down on you, and how someone here today gave you that little extra that you needed to stay whole. It could be a family member or a classmate. And maybe, if you can, look over at them and feel in this moment that you are not just sharing the day with them, but all of the hours of work and frustration and joy it took to get here. Because I know that in this moment, I feel the kinship I felt when each test was bearing down on me. And it was that kinship that helped me to know that I'm not alone, and that each of you here is not alone either, wherever you go. So with some of my final words here at UB, I want to thank you all for the wisdom, the knowledge, experiences, laughter, and kindness you have shared with me, and I am excited for each of you to continue to do so as we progress through this incredible journey. Congratulations, class of 2017, and thank you.
Stephen, thank you very much for that needed and very insightful class address. Congratulations. Next, I would like to ask Sanjay Jain and Alexandra Taffany to come to the podium to dedicate the yearbook called Iris.
Hello, everyone. First, I'd just like to say congratulations to everyone in the class of 2017, and to thank President Tripathi, Dean Kane, faculty, all of our parents and friends for being here today. Alex and I both had the privilege this year of being on the yearbook committee and to present the 2017 Iris yearbook to Dean Kane today.
So, Dr. Ellis, for our class, and I'm sure family members and whatnot, he was our cardio professor that tragically passed away in our second year after our module was ended, but he played a monumental role in our training, and we were so lucky to have learned from such a wonderful role model. As the last class to experience his teaching, we, the class of 2017, are privileged to dedicate this Iris yearbook to Dr. Ellis and his memory.
I'd like to thank the class for selecting Dr. Ellis as this year's honoree. I also want to just take a moment and acknowledge Mrs. Dr. Nitsa Ellis, who's sitting in the first row, and her brother, Dr. Ali Farahi, who are joining us today, and we have a copy of this yearbook for the family. I'd next like to ask Lisa Federa to come forward and present the Parents' Council's gift.
Thank you, Dr. Kane. On behalf of the Parents' Council, I would like to present the graduating class of 2017 with their composite photo that will be hung in the hallway of the new Jacob School of Medicine. To all of the doctors here today, we wish you the best in your careers. We are so proud of you.